Welcome, Clive.
Hi, everybody. Oh, we got some people awake. That's good. What we're going to do is 3 quick 10-minute sessions from people like me that have been working in different businesses for a few years. And we've been asked to give 5 tips of our pearls of wisdom each. Okay. So a little bit about me. For the last 25 years or so, I've worked in music tech, some consumer goods, been running businesses up to about 24 mil in terms of turnover. So I've had 2 MD roles at BMG Music. That's not BMG, that's now in Sony over there. It's the same company, but I was working internationally in markets like Indonesia and Malaysia as the one non-local, going in and changing companies and building things from scratch. So my experience is startup, it's rapid growth, it's business transformation, it's lots and lots of change. For the last 5 years, I've been SVP of digital music at We7. We7 is a music streaming site that recently got bought by Tesco's. Very much, if you don't know it, it's a streaming site for the mass market, so the people that listen to music for 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes at a time. It's not for the heavy user that tend to gravitate towards a Spotify. So it's a free music site funded by advertising. And I've been there for 5 years, and at our peak, we had 3 million UK users. So it's a good story. My background in terms of things that I specialise in is there, and it did all start off a long, long time ago. I was a musician and a signed artist in the early 80s. So currently, what I do since I left We7 is I work with MDs and CEOs in startups and SMEs, mainly the kind of up to 50 million turnover, and we work in peer advisory groups, those sorts of things. So the first one seems like a very obvious thing, but the customer is king. It's amazing how many startups, oh look at that, I've gone on to 2 already. It's amazing how many people show me business plans that start off with, I've got this wonderful piece of technology, I'm going to do this, it's a whiz, it's got a bang, it's absolutely brilliant. And then when you get down to who are you going to sell it to, or who's going to be interested, or who's the customer, it all gets a bit woolly. And, you know, new ideas are 10 of plenty, actually. There's some brilliant new ideas that are going to come from people in this room. But knowing who your customer is a business discipline that very many people fail to miss that part out, or they miss that part out. Doing their market research, trying to understand who the customer that you want is, not the person that's going to use your website or your service at the beginning. There's a customer and a user kind of these terms get bandied around, but what's typical is you'll always get a band of early adopters. With We7, it was a music site. With Spotify, it's the same. It tends to be male, 30 plus, people that sit at home, they're computer savvy, tech savvy, media savvy. And if you're not careful, you can get very insular and thinking that that's who your mainstream base is. It's absolutely not. And it comes from this, right at the beginning, you have to know who's going to use this eventually when it's mature. If you can know that, then everything that you do has to be targeted towards that. And you mustn't get swayed by the people who just happen to find you at the beginning and just happen to be using it in certain ways and maybe really love all the layers of technical sophistication that you're building into something, because that's not where your mass market was. At We7, we probably changed our proposition 4 times in 5 years. And that's a constant education for us, for overspeccing things, because where we sat in the market, which was completely mainstream, less than 1% crossover with the Spotify population, where we sat, we realized that we had gone way too far in terms of speccing what people wanted. We licensed, we built an on-demand Rolls Royce. You're in the front seat, you can drive, you can pick whatever you want, whenever you want. It's absolutely brilliant. And then what we found is, where we sat in the market, people wanted the Rolls Royce, but they wanted to sit in the back. So we needed to bring lots and lots of features and very simple things, which now get called interactive radio and the kind of features that you're seeing on all other services. But 2 to 3 years ago, we were understanding that that's where people need to be. So you must build a customer-centric organization, even if there's 4 of you or there's 10 or 12 of you. The worst thing possible is that technology people sit designing things that they think are right for them, because then the tail wags the dog. Now, these words, plan for change, are a little bit contradictory, really. But the main thing is the main thing with Plan for Change, like Plan for slideshows, is that you must have a fixed system, you must have something in place, you must have some benchmarks that you're aiming at. But all of us that are working in content and technology, and we're making music and these kinds of things, the landscape is changing so fast. You can't be completely reactive. You've got to have a plan. But you've got to be, in business speak, you'll say things like, it's agile, or it's an emergent strategy, which kind of means you make it up as you go along. But know you're going to make it up as you go along, and build room and spec for that. Don't have a product roadmap that goes beyond 12, that's 12 months long and you've got your head in the bunker because that's what you believe is the killer feature that will do it. Because it won't. It will have moved on by then. So inside an organization, you must build the sensors around you that give you information all the time that help you plan to change and adapt your changes as you go forward. Now, this phrase, get the right people on the bus, is from Jim Collins. I don't know if any of you know, Good to Great is a business text that's seen as one of the leading examples of showing the types of behavior that come in the really high-performance companies. Getting the right people on the bus, the other side to that is getting the wrong people off the bus and also knowing where the bus is going. And these words sound really simple, but for a startup, they're absolutely critical because when you start off, it's you and it's your little team around you and you are the culture. But by the time you get to 9, 10, 12 people, then that's suddenly changing and suddenly you have to get into this sort of area called people management. You have to deal with that area, which is as much of a challenge as anything. In fact, talking to SMEs in the businesses that I do, up to 75 million, some of the turnover, it's always people issues and it's people management issues. And it's exactly the same right at the beginning. I'm working with a startup now who are extremely worried about the next hire that they make because they've got a brilliant team, 7 people, they built it as it is, it appeals to their customers, the culture of it is exactly right, but they need something called sales. But they hate calling sales because that's not cool. They don't want to say anything to do with sales. But actually, they'll think, well, what we need is a brand sponsorship manager, or we need a partnership advocate, or we need a thought leader. But actually, it's sales. How they go forward depends upon them getting revenue from that person. So, getting the right people on the bus is all about thinking about what does the business need, what behaviors will bring that to the business, and then interviewing people for competencies based on those behaviors. And it's a challenge, and it's very, very critical in small organizations because you get this wrong and companies go down the wrong path very quickly. Oh, it's going to stay at 4. No, it's going to go to 5. Oh, okay. Yes. Well, hey! So there's a theme here. But vive la différence. What does that mean? That means, what is it about you that makes you different? You have to know that. There has to be a USP. If we're a music jukebox with 11 million tracks, we're not unique. We can all think of another 5 or 6 that have done that. If you're an artist, yes, you're unique, but then you put your music in the same place as everybody else. So that's not unique. So if you're a service, what you have to think about is what's the brand, what's the experience, what am I going to talk about, and the way that I talk about every time in order that somebody understands and recognizes that and comes back to me. If that's a USP, that's what it needs to be. There are schools of thought in business where the whole strategic choices that a company makes is based around the difference and the USP. And yet, if you ask a lot of tech companies, actually they don't really know what it is other than an interesting idea that might be a commonplace thing in a year's time. So the difference is all about the heart of the company and the vision and the mission and those kinds of grand words. But it comes down to what makes us special, what makes us unique, and do the people in the company think about that enough? And the final one, is it going to stay at 5 or where's it going to go next? The good one with this is that oh, look at that, we've gone on. Okay, well, with this one, I've cheated and put 5 different themes on there anyway to try and squeeze a little bit more in. But in terms of measurement, it is amazing how many companies don't measure things enough and where they put their measurement. With the internet, data is everywhere. and you can get absolutely buried in it. So there is a skill to knowing what in business speak you would call a KPI or a critical success factor. What's the 3, 4, 5 things that I must keep my eye on in order to know if the business is achieving what it's setting out to achieve or not? And what measurements do I need? Because actually, as a business leader, that's all I want to see. Other people can do all the other stuff. I just want to see those things. Okay? Execution is the key between an average company and the companies that stay around for a long time. You don't actually have to be the best idea if you're a brilliant execution. But if you've got an average execution, you won't be saved. So again, organizations talk very good talk, but one of the reasons that 9 out of 10 startups fail within 2 years and 9 out of 10 of the one that survives fail within another 3 years is just to do with execution. Can they execute properly? And to execute properly, often it comes down to this last one, which is money. Now, Ben started off the day talking about money and the priority that must be given to money. And often what you get in startups, especially tech startups, is the leader is running around doing biz dev, doing partnerships, doing tech things, and then thinks, well, in 3 months' time, I've got to get some money in. And of course, it comes way down to the line as to whether or not you can keep the lights on or not. So the most important thing is this is an eternal beauty parade, the appeal for money. And somebody in the organization must be focused on that all the time, because even if you think it's straightforward, it will take 3 or 4 months for money to come through. And you'll suddenly reach a stage where everything will go pear-shaped unless you've taken care of that. Now, at We7, we ended up with 4 venture capitalists. That's a measure of the kind of world that we live in. It's not an ideal situation because each of those 4 have got slightly different ideas on what a brand should do and where the service should go. So getting money always means compromises and always affects the people who have come before it. The later investors dilute out the early investors and all these kinds of things, and there's technical measures called liquidity preferences, which kind of means the early ones get stitched up and the later ones share the fruits going forward. And those kinds of politics you will never be able to navigate unless you've built enough time in, which means having somebody focus on this all the time. So thanks very much.
Clive Gardiner, everybody. Thank you. Thanks, Clive. Do stay on the stage, Clive, because we're going to do a question and answer after all 3 presentations. So, yeah, cool. Are you ready to go next? Is it Adam? Yeah? Go, Adam, then. So meet Adam Perry from BandApp, everybody. Round of applause. Yay, Adam, who's just arrived.
Okay. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah. Apologies for my voice. It sounds dreadful. This is actually a good day. Normally it's even worse than this. So I started playing drums professionally 18 years ago and playing in a band called the Bloodhound Gang. It's a silly rock band from Philadelphia who sold a lot of records, 7 million records, and before that in a band called A, and then I started a startup called BandApp, and we launched this year in August. But my first business was, showing my age, in 1992, and it was funded by the Prince's Trust by a grant and a small loan from NatWest. And it was a mobile recording studio, and it was really rubbish. It's one flight case full of like 16-track, remember the big reel-to-reel tape decks? One of those at the top, some compressors and some outboard, and a DAT machine at the bottom. Really, really rubbish. And the idea was we'd wheel this into people's houses and tape their wives singing songs for Christmas and stuff, and then wheel it out again and charge them 30 quid. And that was our first business. And me and my twin brother Jason, we did a business plan on the back of a napkin. We drew the sort of spec of the stuff we wanted to build and how we're going to get this around in a van and stuff like that. And then we absolutely panicked about taking this loan from the Prince's Trust, which is 1,500 quid, and a bank loan from NatWest. Because I was 22, I was on the dole. All right, yeah. There we go. That's better. And my uncle David, who was not my real uncle, but I'm from Leeds in the 70s, and you call everyone auntie and uncle for some reason. Don't know why, he don't do it anymore. But in the 70s in Leeds, the auntie Janet, who wasn't your auntie. So Uncle David comes down with Auntie Loretta, not my real auntie. And we're having breakfast one day. and I'm talking about this new thing that we're going to do, and I'm really scared about this. And Uncle David said, they've abolished hanging. What is the worst thing that can happen? And that was one of the best lessons I've ever been taught. I didn't quite understand what he meant by it. I had to kind of ask him. And he said, well, literally, what's the worst thing that can happen? If you can't pay the bank loan back, you can't pay back. If you offend the Prince's Trust because you've wasted their money, they'll get over it. It's a Prince's Trust. They're there to try and help you and encourage you. But they've abolished hanging. The worst thing that can possibly happen is you have to figure out how to pay the loan back. So don't be afraid of doing this silly business you want to do, no matter how silly it looks. Now, how rubbish it is, I think he thought it was rubbish as well. Go and do it and fail and try and make it the best thing that you can make it. And, you know, and if you do fail, you'll learn something from it and you'll be able to take that on to the next thing. And that's the most valuable piece of advice I've ever had, I think, from Uncle David, not a real uncle. Secondly, if it ain't broke, fix it anyway. So the band I was in before the Bloodhound Gang was a rock band called A, and we had a couple of big singles in the UK, a few sort of top tens. Sold a few records, went on a big tour for 10 years with our mates. Wasted loads of Warner's money. 1.6 million unrecouped. Which is never going to happen these days. And our second album was called Monkey Kong, and it was great. It was our Paul's Boutique, as people say. It was, we threw everything at it, and it was a really cool record, we thought. No hits on it, but it was a cool record. And one of the songs was called If It Ain't Broke, Fix It Anyway. And we meant that in a songwriting way, because when you write songs, we always thought, your song is not finished until it's got a barcode on it. And it's the same with the products. It's never really finished. And you see, you can take that analogy into startups and into products and into tech. And the idea was, look, this song's great. Let's put it to one side. When we get in the studio, let's try and make it even better. Let's make the chorus into a bridge and try and write a stronger chorus. If we can't write a stronger chorus, we can come back and grab the old one and move it back. But it's, you know, if it's not broke, try and fix it. Don't rest on your laurels. And so we always do that in every song that we write. We really try to make it this, you know, really try and, even at the last point when we were mixing the song, is there a better vocal in there? Is there something we can really do before somebody puts a barcode on it and it's released and then you're done? But within the tech world and what we do now in BandApp, it's never finished. You can always tweak and iterate, and the whole lean startup thing that people talk about is so true. You know, get users to feedback, A/B test certain things, figure out from your user base what works, what doesn't work, what people like, what people don't like, take features away, see if people complain, add features, see if people complain, and just keep moving and tweaking your product. And that's what development allows you to do. There is no barcode at the end of it. Fashion never finishes, as they say in the fashion world, and it should be the same within tech products. You know, Facebook looks completely different to how it looked 3 or 4 years ago, and they just keep evolving. So that's what I mean by that. Never rest on your laurels in the song world or the product world. Okay, and moving on from that, I think another lesson that we've learned is be prepared to change, always. So change and pivot and iterate, and as I said before, if it's not done until it's got a barcode on it, so constantly, this is a bit of a cheat slide actually, it's the same as the last one. I feel bad, so I've only done 4 slides instead of 5. So, sorry about that. Okay, have fun. And that is really, I'm being really serious with this. Everything that I've done so far, whether it's failed or whether it's been good or whether it's been, in my opinion, great, and other people might not have liked it, we've always had fun. And if we don't have fun, we pack it in until we have fun again. Or we do something else till we have fun. Because there's no point in doing anything in the workspace or in the creative space if you don't enjoy it, because your users are not going to enjoy it. And if you're a band, people don't, you know, people don't want to, they want to feel the energy, they want to feel the excitement of making a record, and you can actually feel that, you can hear it in a song. You know, if you've got a smile on your face or you're playing a drum track or you're really going for it, you can hear it in the song when you play it back. And if you're having fun playing it, it really generates from the back of the room. If you're doing a gig, it generates from the back of the audience at the back of the room. And it's the same at work level. You know, what we do in BandApp now, we've got a really cool team, and we have fun every single day, and we take the mickey out of each other, and everyone knows their place, but at the same time, everyone's you can pick on people, you can joke about stuff, and you have a really nice time doing it, and then it comes back to the product, and we do things with a smile on our face, and that's really important. If you're not having fun doing it, it will show up in your work. And then finally, it's all about the music. So BandApp is a place where a band can go and make an app for themselves for free instantly. And so if anybody's in a band or a DJ or a solo artist or a venue, I encourage you to get your laptop out now and go and do that. It's free, it's great. And it's a really cool tool for creative people and for bands. And there's loads of cool tools out there. BandApp is a really cool mobile tool, but there's loads of tools on the website. Obviously Twitter, there's Facebook, there's YouTube, there's Reverb Nation, there's Bandcamp, there's Topspin. There's a lot of tools out there. None of them, including my company, matter if your song's rubbish. And that's the first thing, and that's what bands forget sometimes these days, is, you know, you start a band, you open a Twitter account before you've even written a lyric. And you know, I'm not saying this was good, but back in the 70s, when a band arrived at a venue, the first thing they do is ask for, the local drug dealer probably. Now, when you arrive at a venue, the first thing you do is ask for the, for the password for Wi-Fi, so you can get on Facebook and tell people how cool you are. And so things have changed a lot, but and what I'm trying to say is that kind of, back in the 70s, although that was bad, at least people thought about the music first. And then they went and got stoned, which is not good. But today, people can often, I get a lot of demos still because of what we do, and people don't call demos anymore, they call them albums. Do you want to listen to my album? Here's my album. It's got 50 thanks on the back of the friends and family and stuff, and it's like, oh, great, but is it really an album or is it a demo? Because, it's a demo, isn't it? Let's face it. And they're not, you want to say, look, it's great, but it could be a lot better. Why do you do this? Why do you do that? Why do you really try and make that song the best it can be? Because it's all about the music. And then use BandApp, and then use Topspin, and then use, Reverb Nation and YouTube and Twitter, and then tell the world about it. But make sure that your music or your product is the best it can be before you start doing that, because everything else is window dressing. Get someone trying to say. 4 slides. Sorry.
Thank you very much. That was quite brilliant. It was spot on 10 minutes. Thank you, Adam. Yes, very good. So, Tris, you ready? Nearly. Oh, he's got to plug his thing in. I'm sure we can.
I have advice for you. Companies, artists. You can think of me as Captain Wasak if you like. I'll wind that back for you. There you go. Captain Wasak to the rescue. Right. These guys with their big... they remind me of Daniel Johnson's tune Big Business Monkey. Anybody know that? Big Business Monkey! I mean, it's great. I love it. The music guys. It's not where I'm coming from. I'm coming from being an entrepreneur, forced into being an entrepreneur because I'm an artist. So that's why I think I'm talking to future entrepreneurs, really, or early starting entrepreneurs. I thought a lot about it when Tara said, come and do a presentation, am I a seasoned entrepreneur? And I thought, well, okay, I did have a job. It was horrible. I went freelance. So I was an entrepreneur, I suppose, from that point, doing the job. I hated it. I became a freelance web designer on and off. It's not really me. I started a record label. That failed. I'm still paying off the loan for that. It was £1,000. I started a band that was very well received by Underground Press, but never made any money. So that broke even-ish, I suppose, but I did have to sell my nice Fender amp. I then went into scoring for film and TV with a partnership with the lead singer of the band, and that did okay. We did some stuff for Channel 4, so that was all right. I made an album, which I signed to Cooking Vinyl. Nobody likes it, but except for the people that listen to it. So then maybe that'll come out. And this year I started Audiobin, which is going all right, but I've got to pay my tax in January, so... I don't think entrepreneurs are balanced people. If you read there's one of the books about the British cycling team, talks about the difference between having a sports psychologist and a sports psychiatrist. And there's an interview with the sports psychiatrist, and he's for the British cycling team, and he said the thing about sports psychology is it's predicated on the idea that athletes are balanced people. Top athletes are not balanced people. Anyway, I'm going to move on from that one. I made a perfectly good salary when I was doing a job, but I hated it. And it's probably a mental health issue. You just end up not being able to do a job because it kills you. So you're forced into entrepreneurship in a way. It's cool. But it is you can see it as an illness. It's a good illness. If you are unable to give up, are you unable to give up? Success is guaranteed, my friend. And what I mean is, when I was about 30, I was like, do you know what? I'm pretty sure, after having failed for a few years, I'm pretty sure, actually, I'm good enough. One day, I'm going to make a living from music. One day. So, given that I'm going to make a living from music one day, no need to worry. He's going to come. Doesn't matter how long it takes. Chill. And, I mean, I think 20s are shit for nearly everybody anyway, but 30s are a lot more peaceful because you're kind of like, you get over yourself a lot. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to move on. But, oh, I haven't moved on notes on here, that's why I'm confused. Two computers. You know, when you begin, you're going to be shit. That's the sad truth. And you will get better. And the sooner you begin, the sooner you will become good. But before you get good, you'll have a really bad low. And you'll think you won't be able to go any lower, but then you will go lower. Then after you've gone that low, you'll go lower than that again. And then you will try really hard to give up. I started life... No, I did my second job. I was a recruitment consultant. I tried to go back to that. That's how low I was. I tried to go back to digital consulting. I tried to go back to a salaried job because I was such a cock when I had a salaried job. I was like, you're all doing it wrong. You should all be fired, bosses. And by the way, yeah, you should be remortgaging your home to pay my salary because the company's not doing that well this month. Yeah, you fucking should. I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave your company because I'm worried you're going to do that again and go work for someone else. What a cock. No idea how tough it is to get money in. Do you know how tough it is to get money in? I'll come on to that. Anyway, so in the face of poverty, humiliation and utter indifference, if you cannot give up, success is guaranteed. Oh. What I mean is, don't worry about having a wash if you're in the zone. Make cool things now, get rid of smell later. If you're in the zone, it's a precious thing. When you are dying, you will not be regretting leaving the washing up to tomorrow or having smelly armpits. You'll be regretting doing the washing up instead of making the cool thing. So people will tell you have to work hard, and that's kind of true, but there's an article in the Gardiner last week about a guy who is researching pygmies, and he wanted to go back out for a research trip to northern Congo and get some more insight. And he wanted to be able to talk in Limpopo? Lingala is a language which is sort of like spoken by many, many pygmy tribes in the Congo. So anyway, there's one Lingala dictionary in the universe. It's got about 1,020 words in. So he got in touch with a company called Memrise, who've got a cool app for learning stuff like languages. And it comes down to, he learnt enough Lingala to remove his need for a local translator in 22 hours, but not 22 consecutive hours, 22 hours divided into various periods of between 4 and 20 minutes, 4 minutes and 20 minutes, over a 2.5 month period. So the point I'm trying to make is this is how I make the creative things, is short bursts of intense creativity and intense zone stuff. I'm not talking about recording tracks, because that's a slog. You know, you guys both know that, I presume. You just got to stay in the studio until it's done, and then you come out and your ears were all wrong, and so you go back to the next day, it's rubbish, you've got to strip it back, start again, and you have to keep going until, like you were saying, you've got to keep going until the details are right. But let's go. I'm going to move on from this. Anyway, if you're not in the zone, your job is to do admin or get in the zone. Getting in the zone is like going for a walk, have a bath. That's when you do the wash. And also, do not assume that time spent getting in the zone is your responsibility. It's billable to the client. I should explain. Audiobin, I score films, commercials, corporate films. Loads of money in corporate films. It's like hidden. TV, occasionally if I'm lucky. And Benbow is one of my artist aliases. The problem is I work in too many genres, so I have too many aliases. But, so you can bill your creative time to the client, you bill your go for a walk, because it's relevant. And bonus of that, I don't even know what that means. I'm going to move on. Right, quick fire some rules to make things better. Accountants will point out it's easier to cut costs than increase income. That's absolutely bang right. Take that $10 a month you invest in Topspin, and it's a weak-ass, clunky, PR'd to death, doesn't work on mobile, shitty interface. Cancel that. 4 months' time, you'll be able to buy Togu Audio Line's fantastic Juno emulator plugin with an amazing sound. Cut costs. Don't add more costs. Cut costs. It's easier than bringing in a job even for $120 to cut that $120 from your budget. So, rule 1, keep costs low. There's no particular order. That's not the top rule or anything. Don't borrow money, I wouldn't. Work on a burger stall. If your dream doesn't yet work to support you, you must work to support your dream. It sounds rubbish, but it's so true. I'm not a fan of debt because I got into a lot and it really hampered me actually doing what I wanted to do. Most important tip for costs, live somewhere cheap. I live in Hastings, it's really cheap. Digital stuff, and it's great because loads of people move there because it's really cheap. You can do what you want to do. Digital stuff means I can, like the other day, come to London on the train now, but the other day talked to Dubai and Los Angeles on a 7-way call trying to coordinate 3 different soundtracks for 4 different films. Clients in Richmond can Facebook me with job offers. Porn producers can view my reel and decide I might be the right person to add edge to their new production. I am not. Okay? Rule 2, but let them be in contact by social media. We'll always go and meet them. Always go and meet them. That's a rule 2. Always go and meet people. The fewer clients you have, the more people you are going to get out and meet. I told you I used to be a recruitment consultant. We were measured on meetings. That was the big thing. Anyway, and connect with them wherever they are. Wherever they are. Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. You're probably going to need all those ones. But some people are only going to speak on Twitter. I'm sure I'm over. Anyway, applies to fans. Go to where they are. Open and curate accounts on all those services wherever else you see a reasonable proportion of your client group. Don't say, I'm going to open an account there because I like it. Go there because your fans are there. If you hate it, don't go there anyway because it will make you down, but try and go there. Rule number 4, don't be a dick. People hire for these reasons. 1, you're pleasant to work with, top. 2, you deliver on time, as promised. 2nd. 3rd, only 3rd, in this order, you're competent. In my experience, those are the only reasons. Rule 5, only rookies worry about their copyrights. Just don't sign anything. Just don't go on the internet and say, I'm really worried, I've written a really good song. Should I copyright it? Just forget about it. I waste so much time on that shit. Just get a good lawyer when someone wants you to sign something. Rule 6, and essential for getting good. Collaborate with as many good people as possible, and I don't mean you think they are successful, I mean that you think they're talented. Rule 7, forget about marketing. Ooh, controversial. People will say market more, I say make more. Because if you're getting out there and meeting people, then they'll see that you've made stuff anyway. You'll put it on Facebook, won't you? You're not an idiot. But make it and make tracks until you have a truly irresistible track. A track that when you play it, people say, who's that? Can I have that? That's the sign. They've got to say, yeah, no, that's really good. They've got to say, who's that? Can I have that? If you've got a track like that, then that's cool. You'll be able to market it. Until then, it's all right to market, but you're just trying to persuade people to do stuff they're not that bothered about. Rule 8, talk money straightforwardly up front. You can only do this if you know how much it's costing you to do what you're going to do for them. And when you have money, invest it in new equipment and inspiring stuff and training, and pay SoundCloud money, because the more money I pay SoundCloud, the more money I earn. How is that? I don't know. Maybe it's because I got enough content to put on there. I'm sure it's not a causal relationship, it's just a correlation. Rule Oh, and if you're buying big things, ask the public sector for money. I got a ticket to LA once to go on a mission, and I got some money towards a new computer. UK Trade and Investment. Bang tidy. Rule 9, shut up whining and go and help some people that are worse off than you. Because I tell you what, I've whined a lot in my life, but when I started going down to Respond Academy in St Leonard's and working with young people that have really shitty lives compared to me, and they're still pushing to do really cool stuff in music and creative arts, I forget all my troubles. Because those guys have got proper problems, and all I've got is like, I don't know, it's just probably, I don't know, just think too much. Right. Soon, I'll be finished soon. Yeah, avoid becoming the people you despise, walk away, be honest. For every client you lose, you'll gain someone else with integrity. If you, the old industry, big music industry, is pretty vile. There's a lot of sexism, there's a straight up lot of racism. Just, if you smell something like that and you want to walk away, walk away. I think I already said that. SoundCloud, you know, I can talk to you about that. But I'm working with people in China and Dubai and Los Angeles from Hastings. This wouldn't have been possible 5 years ago. It's possible from anywhere. I might move to Spain. And this is it. I think this is it.
Fantastic. Tris Taylor from Audiobin, everybody. Woo! Okay, we're going to open it out to you now. Have you got any questions for these seasoned entrepreneurs, to quote the blurb? Any questions for these guys? Tap them while you can. Free advice. You know you want to. Yes? After. Can we get the screen back with the names on? Can you get the screen back with the names on? Would you do that, Tris?
Hello.
Oh, it's on the other computer, apparently. Oh, maybe we need Jim. He's on it. Okay, so, sorry, who put their hand up over there? Yeah, can we get the mic there?
Tris, you said you'd done some film scoring. I was just wondering if you had any tips or tricks for aspiring film producers and composers.
Go and meet film directors and tell them you're a composer.
That's what I've been doing. Is that all?
Yeah, that's
okay.
All right. Sorry. That's totally all. For anyone that didn't hear, go and meet some film directors or producers. They're equally great. And tell them that you are a composer. Mostly they won't ask to listen to any of your music, so it's cool. Get a business card with your name on that says composer. Write some really fucking great music and put it on SoundCloud, and then put a link to that on your website, and ideally score something to picture. But if you're scoring it to picture and it's a test or a demo, I just think that's a bit bullshitty. So just write some amazing music, because when you're starting out, people are going to want to work with you if they think you're really, really good at music. Because they won't be. They'll be like, that guy's really good at music. I've got to work with that guy. I don't know any other composers. Bada bing.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Good. Any other questions? Any questions? Yeah, over there.
Thank you. I thought that was a really awesome presentation. I thought it was actually excellent, actually.
You're too kind.
But, I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on there, and I'm wondering if a lot of stuff happens to you. You get loads of stuff going on in your mind and all that stuff. And what do you do when you get overwhelmed? I mean, do you go and talk to somebody? Do you put your head in a cold shower? What do you do?
What do I do now? I get overwhelmed now a lot less because I got a small child in my life, and it's just like, hey, man, that's a really, like, whoa, this is so unimportant. When I used to get really het up, I used to go to cognitive behavioural therapy. I've had various psychotherapists. Then there's like exercise. Exercise is fucking fantastic for that shit. Seriously. And making music is the best. Or drawing.
Great, over there, yep.
Question for Adam from BandApp. Putting your kind of your music and your tech hat on, what do you think is more valuable, like 100 fans on Facebook, 100 Twitter followers, or 25 email addresses? Like, you know, what's most valuable? You know, do you think, like, you know, the lifetime value of an email or a follower on Facebook or Twitter?
Actually, I think if someone's giving you your email address, then they're pretty keen to be in contact, and so there's a bit of value there. and you got to do, straight to their inbox, so they're not going to really ignore it. They've all got value. I think Twitter's obviously really valuable because you can get straight out with one message to everyone, but people might ignore it. And then Facebook's got loads of value because you can find out more about people that are following you on Facebook, and you can find out more about their friends, and it opens up more. But you've got to do them all, combine everything, and then make sure these people come to your gig and buy a t-shirt and pay for the show, because that's the bit where you're going to make money. I think so. Anything that encourages them to do that. Rubbish answer.
Okay. Any more questions? Any more for any more? Yep.
Okay. I was wondering, you were saying that do music and then put it out there, but only when it's ready. At least that's what I understood. Maybe I was wrong. But for example, I don't have the resources. I'm a songwriter, I'm a singer, but I have a guitarist now. But that's absolutely everything I've got. I've got a camera and I've got a microphone. Yeah. So I really want to do music, but I don't know people to work with. I'm foreign. I'm from Portugal. Yeah. And so I just wanted to know, like, is it okay for me to put my music out there even though it's not ready at all? It's very raw still. And is it okay that I just, because I'm doing some work in promoting it and online, and it's working quite well. I've got quite a lot of likes. I don't know how it translates in some of the people that really like me, or just people that pressed on that day and really, because that's something you never know. But, I got quite a number of people that are starting to listen to it, but I still don't have things that are good enough in terms of, they're not studio producers. I do them in my living room, so yeah.
Well, I think it all depends what you want to do with your music. If you're trying to reach people to collaborate and work with you and write with you and make music with you, then yeah, bare your soul and put that stuff out there, definitely, because people will respond to that and they want to come back and work with you. But then when they do come back and want to work with you, just make sure before you try and sell anything or market anything, is what I'm trying to say, that it's the best possible song you could have written, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But demos are ace, and within our band, we just demo and demo. Some bands don't ever demo, and that's fine. But within our band, we just demo and demo and demo and demo all the way through until we get a great song. And sometimes that's actually my advice is quite bad advice, because you go back to the early demos and they've got something about them that you're never going to recapture again. So that early stuff that you're doing on your acoustic guitar in your kitchen is probably, you might not ever capture that again. We did some stuff with a band called McFly. We co-wrote a few of their records and produced a few of their records. And some of the demos we did with Tom from McFly in his kitchen sound so much better than the stuff that we spent thousands on studio. So stuff like that is really important. And I think just capturing stuff as you go along and demoing stuff, you can always come back and use that as a resource, especially these days with Pro Tools or whatever. You can drag that and put it into your final track. But yeah, I guess I'm trying to say just constantly keep creating until there comes a point where you have to sell it. And that's generally when someone says, this is amazing, you should sell this. Some people, just exactly what you were saying, some people respond to it. If you're a good composer and somebody has a decent track you've composed, somebody will tell you, this is amazing. You'll eventually get discovered by someone that wants to do something with that track and put it out for you, or publish it, or sync it, or book you a show. But you've got to keep demoing, keep working at it until you get to that point where someone's willing to take a risk on it, I suppose. Or you're willing to take a risk on it and put some effort behind selling it. If that makes sense.
Okay, I'm going to wrap it up now. And thank you very much to Clive, Adam and Tris, everybody. Cheers.